welcome back to my game room for another pickups video. This time we're going to be covering games that I picked up primarily in the months of November and December, maybe a little bit in January, but I haven't really found much so far this month. You know, and I wasn't even sure if I would have enough pickups to make a decent pickups video, but as I went back and started going through them, it's actually a surprising amount. So let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, right around the beginning of November, I picked up a PlayStation 3. I did it primarily because I wanted to play Gran Turismo with my Logitech G25 steering wheel that I showed off in my last pickups video. So I did pick up a PS3, and I did pick up some games to go along with it. Let's see here. So we'll just go ahead and run through these real quick. The PS3, I should mention that I got it for a really good deal. I ended up getting it for $75 on a Craigslist deal. And so far it works fine. I didn't bring it out here to show it, but it's a PlayStation Slim. Not the third model, but the second model. So let's go ahead and go through these games. And so these games primarily, except for this one, are games that I picked up either in the bargain bins now that the PS3 is near the end of its life cycle, or a couple of newer games that I picked up. So anyway, we've got Uncharted 2, which I picked up at GameStop for $6.99. I know that's supposed to be a great game, so certainly at $6.99 I think that's definitely worth it. Resistance: Fall of Man. I can remember seeing a lot of hype around that game. I'm sure it's nothing spectacular, but I think I paid $2.99 for it at GameStop also. Next we have Fallout New Vegas, and I picked this up, I think it was Black Friday weekend, and yeah, it was cheap. Oh, and I picked up the strategy guide for this as well. I don't have it out here, but I did pick that up as well. Gran Turismo 5, as I mentioned. Unfortunately, I bought this at just about the worst time because it was before GT6 came out by a month or whatever. And so GameStop was still charging like $15 for it, but I was dying to play something on my G25, and now I'm sure you can probably pick this up for 10 or less. But anyway. NBA 2K11, yeah, 2-year-old basketball game, not anything to get too excited about, but I'm a Chicagoan, and I'm a huge, Bulls fan, going certainly back to this era, and Michael Jordan especially. And from what I understand about this game, it's there's like an entire Jordan mode where you just kind of do Jordan stuff and relive Jordan moments. And it was $2 at Half Price Books. Motorstorm, I think this was $2 at GameStop, and I know this is supposed to be a great game. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking that one out. I haven't actually put it in yet. My PS3, I've primarily just been playing Gran Turismo. This was $4.99. It's Resistance 2. This says $7.99 on it, from a Blockbuster that was going out of business around here, sadly. And I believe this was 30% off, so it was about $5 or $6. Killzone 2. And then this was also a Black Friday special, the Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, which still sealed right now, but I do plan on cracking this open, especially because a YouTuber that I really like called Multi-Monitor Mike, he has some great videos about the Mortal Kombat series, and he highly recommends this game, so I'm looking forward to checking it out. And then finally, we got Gran Turismo 6. I just picked this one up. Actually, I got this for my birthday, so that was December 31st. And yeah, this game is fantastic. It was kind of hard to justify buying it after I just bought 5, and I probably played 5 for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 hours. So not a ton for sure. But when I was reading everything about all the things that they supposedly improved in 6, and they did. I mean, it's definitely a better game. And the bigger selection of cars, and certainly the bigger selection of tracks, kind of put it over the edge for me. And like I said, my wife wanted to buy me a birthday present, so I went with Gran Turismo 6. All right, so that's my PS3 games. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some PS2 games I picked up. Now, and I should say, as we go through these pickups, there is quite a bit here, quite a bit more than I would have thought there would be here. Not a lot that's super exciting or super like great finds, but I promise you, I'm not a hoarder. I don't pick up a game unless I have some interest in it. And again, the amount of interest that I have in it is in negative correlation, to use a statistical term, to the amount of money I'm willing to spend on it. So in other words, you know, if I see a game for $3, the first thought that runs through my head is, would I get $3 worth of entertainment out of that? And for most video games, aside from, you know, the repetitive sports games and things like that, the answer is usually yes. So that's kind of how I justify picking some of these up. So first we have Drakengard for $2.99 at Savers. And, you know, this is probably not really my type of game, and it might be something that I eventually trade or, you know, bundle with the system and try to sell it or something like that. But, again, for $2.99, it's a Square Enix game. I looked it up. I tend to do that. I'll look up the game real quick on my phone and just, you know, read a couple reviews of it, or maybe read some Amazon reviews or something like that. And, you know, there were people that liked it, so maybe I'll be in the mood to just pop it in one day. LA Rush, this was, I want to say $2 at Goodwill, or it might have been Savers. I think it was Goodwill though. And yeah, this also, I know this isn't supposed to be a very good game. It has some connection to the other Rush games like San Francisco Rush and Rush 2049 and things like that. I think it's just in name only. I don't think any of the developers came across. And I think this is kind of some, you know, half-assed attempt at a open world game. So I'm sure it's probably not too good, but again, I think it was $2. This game also, Dr. Muto. You know, I can remember seeing a review of this. This is what I mean. I can be a little. I've got a good memory for games, and if I ever feel any, you know, pang of an interest in it from seeing it or reading about it, I'm always on the lookout for it cheap. So yeah, I remember this game on the network G4 when that first came on, and there was those two guys, Tommy Tallarico and Victor Lucas or something like that. They had it was called Reviews on the Run or something like that, or you know, something similar to that. Anyway, they reviewed Dr. Muto, and I remember that they had some mildly good things to say about it. And when it popped up for $2 at Goodwill, I decided to go for it. Star Wars Racer Revenge, I believe this was also $2. And I actually played this for a little bit with my son, and it was all right. And then Sniper Elite, this was $2.99 at Goodwill. And, you know, I can actually, again, kind of recall hearing, I think this is sort of like, what's that game, the other sniper game? You know the one, you're saying it right now on the screen, but yeah, anyway, I think it's sort of like that. And again, $2.99. Let's see, what do we have next here? So those were the PS2 games. All right, so we got some PS1 games as well. For $2 from Half Price Books, RC to Go. I don't know if Half Price Books are unique. You know, like each one is set up differently. I don't have too many around me. But if yours has a clearance video game section, especially mine used to kind of hide it in the back corner too, and a lot of people didn't even know about it. But Half Price Books used to be a place where you could get a lot of really cheap finds. But they fixed that a few years ago, at least at the stores I go to. And they price, again, I think their pricing is fair unless you account for the fact that their name is Half Price. They're definitely not half price, but their pricing is better most of the time than online or comparable to online, and not, you know, the silly eBay buy it nows and things like that, but more like the general going rate. But their clearance section, they don't keep stuff for long. They keep their stuff kind of isolated to one section. So as soon as they start running out of room, they start moving stuff over to clearance. And so a game like this, I mean, it's probably not worth much more than $2, but to me, it's kind of fun just to run into games like this that you don't see all the time. RC to go. Pick this one up at Savers. Cubics, Robots for Everyone. Pick this one up at Goodwill, I believe. Descent Maximum. And I have the original Descent in long box, so now I've got Maximum as well. I had the original Descent, or actually Descent and Descent 2 on my first PC, and these versions are not as good as the ones on the computer, but they're really not that far off. And I have a really cool analog PlayStation joystick that I hooked up and tried with this game. And you know, the thing about Descent, those of you that played it back in the computer, was it was really complicated to control using just about any control method. But certainly what most people were trying to do, which was like a keyboard or a mouse and keyboard, it just had too many different controls, and of course 6 degrees of freedom and all that. But with a good analog joystick, it definitely makes the game. And the one for the PlayStation, you don't have to do any configurations like you did with the PC and all that. It works well. Next we have Bushido Blade, and this one, this was, I believe it was Goodwill. And yeah, I went up there and then they checked to see if the disc was in there, and it actually had the wrong disc. I think it had like Twisted Metal 2 in it or something like that. And so they were just going to toss it, so I asked them if they would be willing to part. I've got that pinball machine too loud behind me. Hopefully it's not too distracting. But so anyway, I asked her if I could, you know, buy the box off of her, and she just told me I could take it. And as it turned out, as luck would have it, I wanted it because I did have the disc loose here at home. So now I've got the complete Bushido Blade. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned either, the TV behind me and the PlayStation there is playing RC to Go, the first game that I showed. And then we got Walt Disney World's Magical Racing Tour, or Disney Quest Magical Racing Tour. I think this is like a Mario Kart ripoff, and it looked pretty decent. All right. Next, this was about the beginning of November, I believe. I picked up Grand Theft Auto 5. I wasn't going to pick this up, although when I started seeing the really cool videos that were popping up, you know, with people like Steve Benway playing it and a bunch of other people, I was getting more tempted. And I ran into this at a Goodwill. And, you know, I had made this mistake once before with Halo 4. I bought this at Goodwill. It was marked $39.99, and then I had some percent off. I forget what it was, 20% or something like that. So it wasn't too much money. I mean, it was for given how new the game was. But there was a reason that they had it, and as soon as I got it home, I thought, oh, I forgot to look at the discs, which is so ignorant of me. I mean, they'll let you return it, but so as soon as I put it in the Xbox, it couldn't read the install disc. So I was going to take it back. I was kind of disappointed, but I guess at that point I was ready to drop the money to actually buy the game, because I definitely wanted to check it out. But I gave it a good scrubbing first with my rubbing compound that I have, and really worked it over, and I got it to install. It's still the disc, you can see the scratch on there, but it installed, so we're good to go. Because now, you know, I only had to use that disc once, now I can just use the play disc, so that had a happy ending. One of the coolest finds I've had over the last couple months was this. I just picked this up the other day. And you know, I don't normally even check the watch section. It's a Nintendo Super Mario Brothers watch. And again, hopefully you can get a good look at that. I don't know for sure if it works yet. I haven't put it, opened it up and put a new battery in it, but I have no reason to believe it won't work. These things tend to be pretty durable, if you know my own personal history with these types of watches is any guide. And the band is in great shape, which is always a plus. It's funny because I picked this up at Savers for $3.99. I looked it up online. They're definitely worth more than that. But I mean, I never check the watch section normally, but I was over by the video games at this particular Savers, which is near the jewelry case, and I'm telling you, it was just like that video game Sixth Sense. I just glanced over, and just out of the corner of my eye, I saw, you know, that little Mario symbol or something. Maybe it was this Nintendo here, and I was like, oh, what is that? And sure enough, it was this Super Mario World watch, which I am very excited about. Yeah, and I said Super Mario Brothers. It says that at the top of the bezel, but then the band itself says Super Mario World. So I'm actually looking forward to checking this out. Hopefully it's cool. I found this at a Goodwill, and these kind of deals, you just don't run into them as much anymore. It's a Game Boy Pocket, the yellow one here, and it has this newbie game light on it, and I tested that and it works, and it actually had Super Mario Land 2 stuck in the back, and the whole thing was marked at $4.99. So not a bad deal at all there. And like I said, it just seems like this kind of stuff gets snapped up very quickly around here these days. Just there's a lot of people out looking for it. And this is just so obvious. This screams video game. This screams sell me on eBay. And, you know, I think that people just don't pass those kind of things up anymore. Okay, so next we got some Wii games here. And these again were picked up, you know, around Black Friday, and we were in various GameStops, you know, buying gifts and redeeming gift cards and things like that. And so I would just look through the cheap bins, the clearance bins, every time I would go in there and see if there's anything interesting to pick up my Wii collection. So first one here, Cursed Mountain. This was actually at a Goodwill, and I was really excited. I don't know if this is a good game or not, but just based on the cover art, it looked kind of cool. Looks kind of like a Silent Hill or, you know, that type of a thing, Resident Evil or something like that. But then when I opened it up, good news, bad news. It wasn't the right game, but it was Wii Sports Resort, and I just picked up my first Wii Motion Plus recently. I didn't bring that down here for this, but I did pick up one of those cheap. So I can actually play Wii Sports Resort, and I remember a couple years ago watching some nieces and nephews playing it at a Christmas, you know, a few years back when it was new, and it looked like a lot of fun. So I was definitely looking forward to checking that out. So, you know, wish I had gotten Cursed Mountain 2, but you know, hopefully at some point I'll run across the loose disc somewhere and I can complete that one too. Picked up De Blob. This was also at. Oh, this was a GameStop. I don't remember. This might have been Savers actually. This was really cheap though. I want to say this was like $1.99 or $2.99 or something like that. So again, I'm willing to give it a shot for that. These were also really cheap at GameStop, maybe a few bucks a piece. Trauma Center New Blood and Trauma Center Second Opinion. And I've only played around with the Trauma Center games a little bit. Yeah, this was $2.99. It is marked down there. I think they were both the same. But they look interesting. They look fun. They're Atlas games. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of them. We also picked up Obscure, The Aftermath. Again, this has probably sold me more on the cover art than anything else, just because it looks interesting. Even the lady that worked at GameStop said that she wasn't sure if it was a great game or not, but she said, like, for $2.99, I'm pretty sure it's at least worth that. And I have to agree with her, as long as I still have space to keep it all. And then I got this Shaun White snowboarding road trip. And I got this because we have a Wii balance board, obviously, and I've heard that these Shaun White games are supposed to be really good with the balance board. And also because I'm going to now keep my eyes open, like I tend to do, because balance boards are, you know, the new thing that's popping up in large quantities at, you know, Goodwills and thrift stores and things like that. So eventually, and right now they're still charging $10 for them, and I guess they're moving them because they don't seem to be there the next time I go. But the price is definitely coming down, and I'll set a target price on tape here of $4.99 or less. If I can find a balance board for $4.99 or less, I will buy another one, because then we can play some two-player Shaun White on balance boards, and that sounds like fun. And then this, I was actually really happy with this deal. This is probably one of the best deals of the month. or months. Punch Out for the Wii for $4.99 from Savers, and yeah, this had to just be timing because this would not have lasted long. I know that. I think this game just, yeah, I never see it pop up in the wild, and I've looked it up a few times on eBay after hearing people say such good things about it, and it just, always goes for, a lot more than I would probably be willing to spend on it. So I was happy with that. Okay, now let's move into some cartridges here. I have to reach over a little bit here. First, we have the saddest looking Sega Genesis game that I'd ever seen. It's actually Space Harrier 2, but it looks like it spent maybe a year or two at the bottom of the ocean, and this is what's left. But I mean, seriously, this thing had to have spent some serious time underwater. And yet I cleaned the contacts. Not even that much effort in cleaning the contacts, popped it in, and the thing fired up like it was brand new. So I'm happy to have that. It's actually a cool game. It's really actually kind of a weird game. It's really, really early. One of the first Sega Genesis games. It might have been a launch game. And it's just so obvious that they were still trying to figure out what to do with the hardware, especially the music. The FM sound on the Genesis has that kind of twangy sound to it if people don't know what they're doing with it. And that game, it almost sounds off key. It's weird. And it's very twangy, but in a good way. Okay, next we've got Super Hang-On, and I got that for 99 cents. Paperboy, which this is actually a really, really solid port. In fact, an excellent port. In fact, I would say maybe I even like it better than, the thing with the arcade emulation, wherever you play it, is that they're always, if it's emulation, true emulation, then they're trying to overcome the, the controls. I never really played the NES version of this. But so the controls to me never really feel entirely natural, but this is programmed for the Genesis controller. And it really works great. It's really good game. And then Road Rash 2, I picked this up for $2.99 at Goodwill. And yeah, big fan of the Road Rash games. Road Rash 2 is definitely a solid one. And then I picked up a few cheap NES games. Again, nothing exciting here, but still games that I at least have some interest in relative to what I'm paying for them. Silent Service. Now, yeah, I mean, this is a sub-simulator game, and my chances of really putting in some real time into this are probably slim, but it was $1. And again, I've got a few loose NES systems, so this might make for a good bundle or for a good trade or something like that. Which, by the way, for those of you that are watching, I see people that do trades online or on YouTube and things like that. I'd be open with a reputable, established YouTuber, at least somebody that, and you've got like an eBay account or something that we can just kind of look at each other's stats. But if you see anything that you're interested in trading for in these videos, definitely shoot me a message and let me know, because it sounds like kind of a cool idea or a cool thing to do. Okay, next we got Road Blasters. This is for the NES, obviously. And I've played this port before. It's not the best, but I love Road Blasters, and for $2.99, I would definitely, it's worth checking out. And then Infiltrator. I think I have this game on my Commodore 64, so that alone, or that then makes me interested in it for $2.99 for the NES to check it out. And the thing is too that I have a hacked Xbox, so I have all these games. I could try them in emulation, but I don't think surprising anyone when I say that there's a certain party that likes to have them that you can put up on your shelf. They just look good. And then for $1.99 with the sleeve, we've got Predator for the NES. And again, I think this is a port of the game that they made for the Commodore 64, because I think that one came out first, if I'm not mistaken. And that was actually a decent game. It felt like they were trying to do more than the Commodore could handle, so maybe the NES could do a better job of it. And then we got some boxed Genesis games here. We've got Cool Spot, and I forget what I paid for this. I also picked this up at Savers the same time as I picked up that Predator game. And I think this was the same price. I think it was $1.99. And I popped this in for a little bit because I've heard good things about it. And yeah, it was really solid. Excellent controls. I think that's the thing that I noticed right off the bat. The controls were, Nintendo levels of smooth, which was surprising in a game that features a licensed 7-Up mascot. And then we got Maximum Carnage. And this one I paid $6.99 for, which that's an eyebrow raiser. That's a shocker. And the reason I did was because it was my birthday, and I was in Savers, and I was bound and determined to find something cool to buy myself as a little bonus birthday present. I was there with my, the family. So this was sitting there, and I opened it up, and I saw that sexy red cartridge. And that was that. $6.99. Happy birthday to me. And I played it, and it's okay, I guess. And then we got Bulls versus Blazers. I mentioned before, big Michael Jordan fan. And I love these just premium feeling EA boxes. They're a little bit thicker than a standard box, if you can see that. And usually they had a big fat manual. And this is truly a game that I, used to play back in the day. Because my friend that had a Genesis, he had some of these sports games, and we would go rent some of these sports games, and we played those quite a bit. That was fun. And then one more cartridge here. And this one, I don't know anything about this game. It's not often that I run across a game and I look at it and I think, boy, I didn't even know that game existed. I mean, and really it doesn't happen very often at all, but when I picked up Space Football 1-on-1 for the Super Nintendo, just the fact I hadn't heard of it for $1.99 made it sound intriguing to me. And I read a little bit about it. I haven't actually popped it in yet. It kind of sounds maybe a little bit like the game Ball Blazer. It didn't sound like it was that great, so hopefully I'll get my $1.99 worth out of that at some point, or who knows. Let's see. I think... and then this was a Christmas present. And this is something that I am just super excited to have. It's 1001 video games you must play before you die. And Finn Gamer, I was browsing his videos, or maybe one of them came up in the right pane one time, but he had done a walkthrough of this book when it came out. This book's probably about three or 4 years old now. I think it goes up to 2010. And so, yeah, he had done kind of a more in-depth look at the book. And my game room, I have a big coffee table in front of the TV in there, and then it's surrounded on all sides by shelves with games and, shelves with cartridges and stuff like that. And so I felt like it would just be the perfect complement to my game room to have this book in there, so that when someone comes down, and I had a friend over, and he opened the book and started thumbing through it. As soon as he started thumbing through it, he's like, oh, I remember this game, or I played this one before, or oh, that one sounds really cool. And it led us into playing Paperboy on the Genesis, which normally I don't think that he and I would have played that game. And it was thanks to that book. So yeah, I was excited to have that. I think it'll be a good conversation starter, a good way to kind of get people more interested in trying some of the other games that I have and things like that. So we'll see. And then finally, what's probably the crown jewel, aside from maybe that Punch-Out game, we've got this was actually $14.99, and I had gotten Goodwill gift cards for Christmas. So this just seemed like a perfect thing to use a Goodwill gift card on. It's the official Street Fighter Anniversary Edition arcade stick. And this thing is beautiful. As you can see behind me, and as you know if you watch my show, The Arcade Chronicles, I do have a real arcade machine back there. And the quality of these components is basically identical. I mean, it is everything about this thing is arcade perfect, and it's got a Xbox and PS1/PS2 plug on it. From what I understand, there may be some USB adapters that will allow me to play that on the PS3 as well, which I think that would be great if I could get that working for the Mortal Kombat game on the PS3 I showed you earlier. But either way, even with just the PS2 and the Xbox, I mean, I have some great fighting games on the PS2 that'll just be perfect for that. I do have the Street Fighter Anniversary game. I've got like the Midway Arcade Treasures. But then on the Xbox, it's a hacked Xbox, so I have the MAME installation on there as well. So, I mean, that thing just makes, when it's cold out here, which it is right now, by the way, it's about 47 degrees out here right now. I don't really play the arcade too much because it's just too chilly. So now I've got a way to play it inside and have pretty close to arcade perfect experience. So definitely excited about that. One last thing. This is not a pickup. Oh. Actually, no. Before we go. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I did pick up a few controllers as well. I picked up one Xbox Duke controller. I used to have one of these, and I think I sold it with the system or something like that. I don't know. But I have tons of the small ones now, and I wanted one Duke. I just didn't want to pay a lot for it, so when I found this thing for a couple bucks, I decided to go for it. This was also, I think this was $1 or $1.99, a gem stick for the Atari / Commodore / a lot of the other older systems. And this thing, this is one of the better Atari joysticks that you can get, more durable, but it feels very much like the traditional Atari joystick, and just about the right size and everything else, but much more durable, much more solidly built. And then this quick shot, I just, I looked at this thing at Half Price Books, and it was originally they were asking like $7 for it, and I just couldn't justify it, but they dropped it down to just a few bucks, I think like $2 or $3. So I did go ahead and get that too. I'm not sure if this is one of the better third-party SNES controllers or not. I'm thinking not based on its look, but I don't have one with the turbo switches on it, so that was my justification there. Yes, now finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about is, instead of an addition to my collection, sadly a subtraction. I mentioned in one of my more recent videos, I think it was the Arcade Chronicles Alpha Mission 2, that my Neo Geo X that I picked up just before Christmas of 2012 died an untimely death. And as you can see here, it is in pieces right now. And I'm not going to take it out. All the pieces are actually in there, including all the screws and everything else. Now you might be thinking that, yeah, that's great. Was it broken or did I break it? That's a legitimate question when I show you Neo Geo X in pieces. But no, it was having a problem where the volume was stuck, and it was showing whenever you would turn it on that the volume was going up. And I started by just opening it up to try to see if the button was stuck. And the button, after I moved it around, jiggled it, it didn't change anything. Eventually I pulled the button completely out and it was still doing it. So then I thought maybe it was the switch, and I checked the switch, and it was still doing it. And eventually, as I took more and more pieces off of it, it was still, as long as I could turn the thing on, it was still showing the volume was stuck, even to the point where I had removed completely the board that has the volume control on it. So at this point, I think that it's a loss, and I'm probably going to sell it off for parts or something like that, because there's really nobody selling them for parts right now on eBay. So hopefully somebody will have some use for it and will pick it up. And then I'm just going to keep my eyes open for someone eventually selling a loose unit. There doesn't seem to be any available right now, and I'm sure it's probably going to be kind of a stretch since they were really only sold in the bundle. But I'm hoping that somebody else out there, ends up with just a loose unit that they decide to sell. And then I can make my Neo Geo X complete again. Wasn't the best system in the world, but I did enjoy playing it. I did like having it, and I'm sad that it's not around anymore. So on that sad note, we'll go ahead and end this video. So thanks for watching, and especially if you stuck through all the way to the end here, I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate all the the subscribers, the new subscribers, those of you that have been with me for a while, and those of you that comment and leave feedback for me and things like that. It's always very appreciated. So we'll see you in the next video.